where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Batman fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. Today we are reviewing the first wave of the soft reboot to the Batman the Animated Series DC Direct line. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of fans who aren't familiar with this line because it's a very collector-targeted line, and a lot of these figures don't typically show up in main retail stores until now. Now that the Todd father has taken over DC Direct, we are going to start seeing these much more in retail. In fact, we found our set in retail as well. We found it at one of our local Targets. So very awesome to know that they're out there in the wild, and not just the regular wave, but even the repaints, the platinum editions, if you will, are also going to be able to be found in the wild, because we've already found the platinum edition Scarecrow for this wave as well, which is very nice. So here we have the Batman the Animated Series figures in the new DC Multiverse kind of looking packaging. I love how clearly and artistically they are branded BTAS though, which I really love. I love that they've got that image right there. That takes me way back. And I love it. And not only are we getting regular waves of these guys going forward, but we're also going to be getting Build-A-Figures in this set for the first time ever, because typically in the past they were just released on cardback. They came with a large number of awesome accessories, swappable hands and the like, but not really any Build-A-Figures have been done in this line. So it's going to be kind of interesting having Build-A-Figures going forward for those who want like every character mint on card, or now mint in box like they had been previously. Just real quick for comparison, here is the original packaging style of the Batman the Animated Series DC Direct line next to the new packaging style. So this is where we were, and this is where we're at. So you can see how that is. Now, I will say my biggest complaint about the packaging is the size of it. That's, I guess, so maybe Todd father can leave room for larger characters or larger Build-A-Figure pieces for larger characters going forward in the future. But I don't like gratuitous packaging. I find it very unnecessary to have a very large box or very large bubble for a not very large figure. That's something that just kind of bugs me to see, because with all of these toy companies talking about how much greener their thumb is compared to the other, and how much they can reduce windows or plastic waste, and then they do stuff like this. Now, McFarlane Toys hasn't really been vocal about trying to be more green, so they get a pass in this specific example. But, you know, when I'm already going to throw it away because I'm a loose collector, I don't need, you know, this gigantic box for just one 6-inch figure. That's just me. That's just where I'm at. That's really my only complaint about the packaging. Other than that, I do really like the new packaging. It's very filled out. There's lots of art. We got full body profiles of the characters on the sides, which I'm a fan of. I love when they do art of the characters on the box instead of doing toy pictures, because I don't need a picture of a toy when I can just look at the window and see the toy right there. So I do really like all the art on the side. I like the Gotham cityscape in the background, in the back of the art, which looks really cool. On the back, we've got an image of Condiment King, the Build-A-Figure in this wave. And what a bold choice. I gotta say, Condiment King is a nice, deep-cut BTAS character that hasn't really seen much merch over the years. And yeah, he's not a big, impactful character or rogue, and he wasn't really truly a rogue either, but that's not the point. The point is, it's really cool that the Todd father didn't just go with Batman, Robin, Joker, and Harley Quinn, you know, characters that we see often and all the time. I mean, yeah, we got Batman and Robin, but we also got the Scarecrow, and we got Mr. Freeze in Wave 1, which is pretty awesome to see him going after different characters that wouldn't normally get released in a regular DC wave or DC Multiverse wave or whatever else, along with Batman and Robin. And seeing them in Wave 1 is awesome. And seeing a Build-A-Figure like Condiment King in the first wave, I think is also really cool. Would I rather him get a single release and us get a larger character to build out? Sure, but that's beside the point. The point is, it's really cool that they went with a deep cut character to start, and it's a pretty neat one. So first things first, here is Batman in the packaging, and he looks awesome. You got batarangs, a lot of swappable hands, and this might actually be a new mold too, because the hips look better. They've got the rounded hips instead of those weird hip joints that the DC Direct figures have. That's always been a complaint of mine for the DC Direct BTAS figures, was the hips were always very strange looking to me. I've never been a fan of those hip joints. So I like the new hips on this. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is a re-release or not. This is one of the ones I'm really not sure if it's a re-release. The Robin definitely is. Robin's a repack, but I'm not totally sure. If this is a repack, it's got to be from the Adventure Continues wave, because it's definitely not from one of the earlier waves. Next, we have both the regular and platinum release of the Scarecrow, so you can see them side by side. And I really like the bright yellow colors that they went with on this version of the Scarecrow. I think that was a really cool alternative colorization for a Scarecrow. And it's also really cool to me that he went with the Scarecrow to do the platinum repaint of instead of Batman, because not to keep harping on the releases of Batman, but the Batman repaints and re-releases have gotten so gratuitous that even I'm getting tired of it. Here is Robin in the packaging, and like I said, this Robin is definitely a reissue with maybe some updated paint detail, but very similar accessories to some of the previous releases of Robin. And then, of course, the Build-A-Figure part. And last but not least, here is Mr. Freeze in his packaging, and he looks awesome. There's that side profile there. I just realized I didn't show the side profiles on the other boxes, so here is the side profile on Robin. Here is the side profile for Scarecrow, and it's the same on both boxes. And here is the side profile on Batman. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. And starting off with Batman, here he is out of the packaging. He's looking pretty good. I love the different cell shading that they did with this guy. It's one of my favorite paint styles that they do with the BTAS figures, is when they do the cell shaded versions. I really love the DC Multiverse NYCC Batman that they did from BTAS with the cityscape in the background, and the cell shading on that is definitely my favorite version so far, or at least out of the DC Multiverse ones. Again, this is DC Direct, but yeah, he looks really good. Head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulders, single jointed elbows. You have a swivel joint at the top of the glove, but also fully articulated wrists. Waist, ab crunch. It's a little, there it goes. It's a little stiff, but oh, and it's got a ratchet. That's kind of nice, actually. Hips are on a ball joint, which I like the hips on a ball joint better than these weird hinged hips. I don't like how that looks. I don't know what it is, but I've never liked how that looks. I've never been a fan of this hip style design of articulation. So I'm glad that we got the better hips, or at least the better hips in my opinion. No thigh. Oh. Huh. That sucks. So it didn't pop off the ball joint. The hip just broke. Broke right off the... That's no bueno. So I guess watch out for QC issues, guys, because if you can see, there we go. If you can see, it snapped right off. That just broke. I didn't even try to articulate that leg, and it just came right off. So watch out for those hips. Maybe the ball joint hips are not good. But if yours isn't broken, like ours is now, double jointed knees, ankle joints, swivel just at the top of the boot, and now we have a totally broken Batman figure that I guess we'll have to reach out to McFarlane Toys about, because, yeah, I guess more on that later. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens with that. If you get a Batman and yours doesn't break on you immediately, it also comes with a number of really awesome accessories. Like I said, a lot of these usually come with a lot of swappable hands. So we have swappable hands where he can hold his Batarang specifically. So you got a couple Batarang holding hands. You get that nice wide Batarang that we see at the very beginning of the show. We get the grapple gun holding hand and the singular just by itself grapple gun accessory. A couple of swappable fists so that he can knock out those bad guys. And he comes packaged with a pair of just grasping hands right out of the box. Real quick for comparison, just so you can see that this is still a continuation of the old line, here is a loose Batgirl next to Batman from an earlier wave of the DC Direct line, and I think this is the Red Card. I'm pretty sure this is the Red Card release. It is, because that's the first suit. So yeah, this is the Red Card release of Batgirl. Batman does come with a data profile card. So now we get data profile cards for the DC Direct BTAS figures. And again, these are not DC Multiverse, it's DC Direct. So there's the artwork of Batman there on the front, same artwork that was on the side of the box. Words and things on the back. Real name, Bruce Wayne. As a child, Bruce Wayne watched as his parents were brutally killed in Gotham City's crime alley. Traumatized by their deaths, he devoted his life to becoming the world's greatest weapon against crime, Batman. To become the ultimate vigilante, the Dark Knight disciplined his mind and body to reach the pinnacle of mental and physical superiority in his relentless pursuit of justice. So, pretty much the same generic Batman origin data file that we've gotten with a lot of these. I didn't really expect this one to be any different because it didn't really need to be, so yeah, there you go. Nice little data profile with Batman there. Next up, here we have Scarecrow, Professor Crane himself, and this is, of course, the first version of Scarecrow that we see in the Batman the Animated Series universe. From specifically Batman the Animated Series, because he goes through a drastic design change for the adventures of Batman and Robin. Honestly, I kind of like the first one just a little bit more, but I do like both designs. So anyway, here he is loose. Now, we're not going to be opening up the Platinum Edition today, but once again, real quick, here they are side by side, so you can see the differences between the two. And they look pretty cool. He is fully articulated, and I'm fingers crossed this one doesn't break immediately too. Head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulder in and out, single jointed elbows, wrist joints, waist, no ab crunch on this guy. Hips are, seems like on a ball joint, inner socket thigh joints. This might actually be a new figure mold. Double jointed knees and ankle joints. He also comes with his scythe, which looks very good, and I like the cell shading on the scythe blade, although I don't like that they only did it on one side. Wish they did it on both sides. But I guess maybe they did it that way in case you don't want to show off the cell shading, so you have a plain looking side or have a cell shaded side, or maybe they were just lazy and didn't paint the other side. I don't know which is the case, but I do know it still looks pretty cool regardless. And of course he can wield his scythe in his hand. Can't really quite wield it in both hands because he only has one grasping hand that he comes with. The other hand he's packaged with is a fist, and he comes with a pair of just open-handed gesture hands. So even though he has this handle that, you know, is used for stability when you're chopping grain or whatever with your scythe, because this is supposed to be a farming tool, not for reaping souls. Yeah, he just can't hold it with both hands because he's only got one actual hand for holding stuff with. So kind of a shame there in that regard, but still cool that he comes with the accessory and he can at least still hold it. You can swap that head from its ball joint. Oh, please don't snap. I'm going to be so nervous going forward now with these figures because that just happened with Batman, so now I'm just going to be worried that it's going to happen again. My man really does have a pencil neck. Look how thin that neck is. But you do get a swappable head with just unmasked Professor Crane, which is pretty cool. And what's also really neat about it is you can just have him holding the Scarecrow mask as an accessory, even though it's an entirely swappable head, and it's still not out of character for this guy, which I really like. Much like Batman does, he also comes with his own data profile card with that artwork that was on the side of his box. On the back, there's words and things. Real name, Dr. Jonathan Crane. Dr. Jonathan Crane has spent as much time lurking in the dark corners of the human psyche as he has hiding in the shadowy parts of Gotham City. Obsessed with the idea of fear in its many forms, Crane has adopted the role of the Scarecrow, a living embodiment of things that go bump in the night. A career supervillain, Scarecrow lives to clash with the Batman, intent on making the Dark Knight cower in fear. Now that is a different data profile. I was expecting this to read pretty much exactly like the one that comes in the Dark Knight trilogy wave, and it was completely different. I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. I'm glad that we got variety this time. Next up, here we have Robin. And Robin's looking pretty good. Again, this is another re-release of this Robin. I don't quite remember how many times this Robin's been released, but this is, by my count, either the 4th or 5th release of this Robin, I think. This specific mold, I mean. And this is Dick Grayson, of course. And I say that because there's been other Robins throughout the BTAS line, so that's why I mean Dick Grayson, because they've also done Tim Drake, and we haven't gotten the Robin version of Jason, but we have gotten Jason in the BTAS Adventure Continues set. He is fully articulated, head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulders, single jointed elbows. You have a swivel at the edge of the glove there. You have wrist joints because he has lots of swappable hands, much like Batman does. Waist, those weird hips, single jointed knees, and ankle joints. And you've got a soft rubbery plastic cape on this Robin, which is normal for this Robin. Robin does come with his swappable hands, so he's got a couple of kind of open grasp hand gestures. A left hand holding his grapple gun. A swappable fist for his right hand. More closed finger grasping gestures is what he comes packaged with. And then here is his bolus rope that every other version of this Robin came with. But still a pretty cool accessory. And Robin does, of course, have his own data profile card with the same artwork that's on the side of his box. And there's words and things on the back. Real name, Richard Grayson. A popular acrobat and the young star of Halley's circus, the Flying Graysons. Dick Grayson's life was turned upside down when his parents were murdered during a trapeze performance while visiting Gotham City. Dick was soon taken in by the wealthy Bruce Wayne, becoming his ward. After Grayson learned that Batman and Bruce Wayne were one and the same, he began to train with the hero and then adopted the identity of the crime fighter Robin. That was a nice data profile card too. And very accurate to the show. I like that. I like that the data profiles we're getting are still accurate to the show. I mean, yes, I said the Batman one is pretty much the same as a lot of the other Batman data profile cards we get, and it really is, but I mean, how many different ways can you actually write Batman's origin, you know? So I get why Batman's is like that. So, but I'm glad that Crane's and Robin's were different. That is at least very nice. And here is probably my favorite figure in the wave, Mr. Freeze. Victor Freeze is not only one of my favorite characters in the BTAS universe, but he's one of my favorite DC characters overall. I've always loved Mr. Freeze. And a lot of that is due to his dedication to his loved ones. I mean, does he take things to the extreme? Yes. I mean, he certainly does. But his love for his wife, Nora, is one of the things I admire most about him. He is fully articulated. First off, you can take the dome. And head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders in and out. Single jointed elbows, although his elbow articulation is a little restrictive due to the nature of the suit here. Wrist joints. Now, this is a reissue of the Mr. Freeze previously released in the DC Direct line. He does still have those really weird hips, single jointed knees. There's a swivel joint at the top of the boot. Forward and back ankle joint only, which is also kind of interesting. You can take off the tank from his back, and I already had to take off one of the swappable hands so he could hold his freeze gun, because he does come with his freeze gun. He comes with the most swappable hands out of all of these characters, by the way. So he comes with a pair of swappable fists. This is the regular kind of grasping hand he comes packaged with for his right hand. Two kind of open palmed gesture hands. Another kind of set of slightly different grasping hands. This kind of larger, more aggressive looking grasping hand for his left hand. And that's pretty much it for Mr. Freeze's accessories. And this is definitely my favorite one out of the wave, just because I love Mr. Freeze, and I'm so glad that the Todd father put him in wave 1. That's very nice. All right, it's time to assemble Condiment King. So we're going to start with his torso and his legs first. So we've got this swivel joint here that's just going to click into place. So now he's got that swivel waist, fully articulated hips. His hips are actually very loose, it feels. I wonder how well he's going to stand up, honestly. Take the right arm. It's on a ball joint there. We're just going to click it into that socket there. Take the left arm, same deal. Just push it into that ball joint socket there. And all that's left, might have been easier if we put this on first. All that's left is to take his backpack here, filled with his ketchup and mustard for his ketchup and mustard guns. And I like that the ketchup and mustard guns on a string good. So this is just a nice thin string that these are on, which is better than if he had done like a bendable wire or something, because on figures that you're going to be articulating a good amount, those tend to snap if you bend them in one spot too much, or around a spot too much, or you stress a spot too much. And soft rubbery plastic can also tend to snap over time, or paint chips off of it very easily. So going with just solid black string was an interesting choice, and one I really like, actually. So like I said, you can take his condiment guns and you put those in his hands here, and having the string also kind of makes it easy to maneuver. I feel like I'm not really fighting it at all since it's on string. Put that in like that. And there is Condiment King built with all of his accessories attached. And he's looking pretty good. Head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders on a ball joint. Single jointed elbows. Wrist joints. Waist. Hips. Again, super loose on the hips. Double jointed knees and ankle joints. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Detail on this figure looks pretty good. Very screen accurate. I love the packet stripes on his sleeves there. I love the texture on the pickle mask. Pickle mask looks really good. The cell shading on this guy looks pretty good too. Overall, a really good Build-A-Figure. And who knows, maybe we'll get a platinum or a gold label version of this guy in a single box later. I think that would be very cool for the fans who want to just have a packaged Condiment King complete. But at the same time, for loose collectors, this was a pretty decent Build-A-Figure, I think. Real quick, I almost forgot. the data profile for Mr. Freeze. So here is the artwork of him right there. Words and things on the back. Alrighty. Real name, Dr. Victor Freeze. At first glance, Mr. Freeze seems like a sympathetic criminal. After all, he has devoted his life to looking for a cure for his beloved Nora, so that she may be thawed from her cryogenic state and reunited with him. In fact, Victor Freeze is a dangerous sociopath whose single-mindedness has transformed him into a supervillain. That's a bit of an oversimplification. Yes, he does bad things for the right reason, but yeah, that's a bit of an oversimplification. I don't know if I would say he's a sociopath. I don't know. I don't know about that. But anyway, overall, this is a pretty awesome wave, a pretty good, fresh start, especially for fans who have been wanting to get into this line, and there's not really a lot of on-ramps, especially as far as they got with the roster of characters, because there are a ton of characters that have got figures out of the BTAS universe. Not just Batman the Animated Series and not just Batman and Robin. I mean from throughout the DC universe of Batman the Animated Series. So that includes Justice League Unlimited, Superman, Batman Beyond. Now, DC Direct didn't get too far into Superman or Batman Beyond, but they got a little bit further in Justice League. So hopefully, as this line continues to bear fruit, that maybe we'll start getting more Justice League Unlimited, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond characters in this line side by side with these figures right here. At least that's the hope I have for this line going forward. But what are some characters you would like to see from Batman the Animated Series or one of the other series in that universe or movies that you would like to see in the future? Let us know in the comments down below. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on social media for this and more content. Check out our sister website, cooltoyreview.com, and like and subscribe to the Cool Toy Review YouTube channel for all kinds of other toy-related videos, news, and content. If you like Star Wars content, check out rebelscum.com, the world's oldest and largest Star Wars fan website in the world, not owned by Disney. And like and subscribe to the rebelscum.com YouTube channel for all kinds of awesome Star Wars related toy content. If you're looking for this and other awesome DC figures, DC Multiverse, Batman the Animated Series from DC Direct, or maybe something else, come by our physical location inside Order 66 Multiverse in the shops at Willowbend Mall in Plano, Texas, which also houses Order 66 Toys, the world's official all-Star Wars collectible store. And in case you're not local, they go live every single Friday night from the Order 66 Toys Facebook page, and they ship all around the world. Check out collectorsoracle.com, one of our archival websites, which has mostly just Star Wars on it right now, but there are some other lines and brands coming very soon in the future. And it's entirely free. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.